All right, guys. So today is our first lesson of our Islamic history or Muslim world unit, and so we're going to be looking at the history of Islam, especially around the time it started and how it expanded. And there's a couple things I want to make sure you understand. Is one, this can be a very sensitive topic, so I will be objective and unbiased and just give you the facts. Um, and another thing is that this is a religion that is huge in the world, and there are a lot of, but it's not something we come across every day in our own daily life. Now, if you go to places like big cities like Dallas, Austin, and Houston, you'll find Muslim mosque where there are Muslims that live in those cities, but not in a small town like Fairfield. So it's easy to forget that there are other religions out there, and yet this is the second largest religion in the world. All right. Now let's get started. So here is a map of the spread of Islam. So you can see it began here in Mecca and spread from Medina and across the world. So some things to keep in mind as we begin this unit is that we're focusing on Southwest Asia, or the Middle East. And this is an important bridge that cuts between Africa, Asia, and Europe. And so we had all kinds of goods and ideas that are going to be traded and shared across the land. It's the crossroads of the world. It's one of the reasons why Christianity also spread so easily. Now, before we talk about Islam, we need to talk about what are Bedouins. Now, um, so there aren't a lot of people that live in the Arabian desert. Um, there are nomads, and they're called Bedouins, and each of these Bedouins have their own tribes and their own clans. And one of the things they do is they help provide support and security. And so but they have important ideals like courage, loyalty to family, great military skill. And these are all ideas that are going to be inherited by Islam, people who follow Islam. Okay? So this Bedouin culture is going to be is a big part of Islamic culture. So another thing is towns typically arise and near a water source, which is called an oasis. Oasis, not oasis. Anyway, and then by the early 1600s, we see trade routes develop, which can provide connections. So these Bedouins helped create trade routes for travelers to go to and from the cities across the Arabian Desert. They go through the Byzantine and Sassanid empires. Okay, merchants help spread ideas and goods, and we'll see the creation of the Silk Road, which trade all across Asia and into Europe. So here is the Silk Road. Notice the red route is the main route. All right, so trade that comes all the way through China into India and into Persia and Arabia to Egypt. Now, the most popular trade stop for a caravan of Bedouin travelers was Mecca. Now, Mecca had always had religious pilgrims that would come to visit the Kaaba. Um, and what's interesting about the Kaaba is that it was a place where even Abraham in the Bible came to worship. Okay, and it's believed that it was here that some in Islamic tradition that Abraham sacrificed Isaac here, or not Isaac, but Ishmael. Okay, but it also became a place for over hundreds of idols to worship. All right, and this religion develops because of the connection with Judaism and Christianity. All right, so here's another look at the Kaaba, people worshiping. All right, so let's talk about Muhammad himself. So Muhammad was born into a strong family, but he became an orphan at the age of 6. He worked his way up and became a trader and a business manager and ended up marrying his boss, Khadija. Over time, he became to believe that he was a prophet of Allah, or that's who they called God, and that the angel Gabriel came to Muhammad in a cave, and told him that he was the last prophet from Allah or God, and he is going to be the one who founds the Islamic faith, and that there is one God. Okay, and so this is according to Muslims. This is the same angel that appeared to Mary and to others. So the people of Mecca are threatened by Muhammad's teachings. So one of the things they do is they feel like Mecca's gonna lose its religious appeal. So in 622, he and his followers flee to Medina, or Yathrib, which is what Medina is in Arabic. We call this Hijrah, the Hijrah. And Muhammad starts gaining supporters. He starts converting more people in Medina. Okay, he displays a lot of political and military skills. All right, and then at 630 A.D., Muhammad and 10,000 men end up marching on Mecca. He's able to take the city, and he destroys all the idols of the Kaaba. All right, most pledge allegiance, and then they convert to Islam. But the problem is that Muhammad dies at 632, but he takes a great step toward unifying the Arabian Peninsula that no one's ever been able to do before. Because there's so many different clans, different cultures, they all worship differently. Well, Muhammad is going to unite them all together under Islam for the first time. Alright, so Islam beliefs and practices. So they teach good and evil. They teach concepts that individuals are responsible for their actions, and that they all must carry out the 5 pillars to ensure living of religion. For example, everyone must perform a Hajj, which is a pilgrimage to Mecca. This is a source of authority to Allah, They have a religious book, or a holy book called the Quran, which details the revelations that Muhammad received from Gabriel in terms of instruction. Some other beliefs and expansion. They're not allowed to eat pork. They cannot drink intoxicating beverages. So they're not supposed to drink alcohol. Friday afternoons is considered communal worship. It's when they gather together to worship. There's no central religious figure, but anymore. But they do have the ulama, which are scholars that study Muslim religion. And then the Quran and worship only in Arabic, which is very important because when reading the Quran, Arabs believe that the only true Quran is written in Arabic, and they speak and worship in Arabic. So if someone who claims to be Muslim, then they are, uh, um, then they need to learn Arabic and learn to speak it. This is important because this unifies everybody, and so the Arabic language is going to spread across the world. Sunnah, this is Muhammad's life example, which deals with proper living. It's called the Sunnah. And then there's the Sharia Islamic law, which details family life, moral conduct, how you interact with your community, and how you interact with your business. Okay? So these are some of the other beliefs. Alright, and then we have the cornerstone of the Islamic faith, the 5 pillars. Okay? We have faith, where one must testify. And in the Arab, this is what they say in the Arabic language translated to English. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. That's what they say when they testify their faith. We also have prayer, and they pray 5 times a day, and no matter where they are in the world, they always pray towards Mecca, towards the Kaaba. We also have alms, which is a religious text that requires Muslims to give to the poor. And then fasting, Ramadan, all right, where they fast during the day, and then at night they have a big meal, they teach the importance that spiritual needs are greater than physical needs. All right, pilgrimage, and then this is also probably the most important, is that everyone must perform at least one Hajj or a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their life. They all typically wore similar clothing when they do that, so they all stand as one pillar. Okay, and these are the 5 pillars that are very important in Islamic religion. All right, so important links to Christianity and Judaism. Um, so they Muslims believe that Allah is the God of the Christians and the Jews. Okay, they believe that Jesus was a prophet, but not the Son of God. They also believe that Torah, and they believe in the Torah, the teachings of the Torah and the Gospels. All right, equal the same as the Quran together in the Quran, which is the final book, the final revelation from God. They believe in heaven, hell, and judgment day, and all of them can trace their ancestry to Abraham. And they also talk about stressing religious toleration towards Christians and Jews, which they call the people of the book. Okay? Alright, one final thing before we finish section 1 is that now, Islam is the name of the religion, but a person who practices Islam is called a Muslim. Okay? The way you spell Muslim is Muslim. There's also an old way where it's Moslem. Either way, but that's more of a Maz instead of a Muz. Anyway, so that's the end of section 1. Make sure you watch the section 2 video to finish the assignment.